Good morning. We're from San Beda College and we're here in Medical City to conduct an interview with one of the doctors about genetic disorders. So for the first question, what is genetic disorder and is it diagnosed?
So usually, genetic disorders, there are parang somewhat alterations or mutations in the genome of an individual wherein they manifest diseases such as birth defects. So what are those? Example, Down syndrome, cleft palate. Usually, those are the genetic disorders that we usually see in the hospital. They are diagnosed usually during prenatal screening. So, prenatal screening, first trimester of the pregnant patient, the OB/GYN already parang may plan na i-screen sila for those kind of genetic disorder. But sometimes, you get it or you get the diagnosis through ultrasound, no, sa baby. But right now, I think here in the Philippines, hindi pa uso yung true test na blood test na genetic mutation screening. It's not yet popular kasi number one, it's expensive. And it's usually during pregnancy follow-up na on the first trimester of a pregnant patient.
Can it be diagnosed po pag childhood na or
What do you mean?
yung mga genetic disorder po or through ano lang po talaga pag pregnant yung
Some patients, no, nakikita siya during or nagmamanifest during pregnant pa lang yung mother, and then eventually kapag lumabas na or na-deliver na yung baby, that's the time na you will ang ginagawa kasi namin is during the first 24 hours of a baby, newborn baby, genetic screening or newborn screening at the same time. What they do is they do physical examination prior to discharge. So para makikita mo na yung baby, it's a well baby, walang any kind of abnormality, na physical abnormality. But some sakit or some diseases, they manifest usually in parang as the patient or the baby grows up na.
why should we be concerned about genetic disorder?
We have to be concerned about genetic disorder, number one, because yung functionality of an individual. Like for example, I think one of your topic is Down syndrome, right? So Down syndrome, it's usually diagnosed at the start of birth of the baby, no, during physical examination, and when we do something like karyotyping. Down syndrome kasi it's parang trisomy 21 or there's a mutation of your chromosome 21, and that alone, when you have that, there are certain parang disabilities for the patient as that baby will grow up or as the baby goes along. So we have to be concerned about it na first time pa lang makakatch mo na siya early, at the same time para you have to plan in the future kasi there are a lot of parang consequences or there are a lot of sequelae when you have this kind of diseases. For example, Down syndrome, there are patients na they can have congenital cataract or may problem sa eye. Number two, they have some form of mental retardation, and syempre you have to address it immediately kasi number one, no, you have to help the patient cope up as he grows up, and at the same time aside from cataract, aside from mental retardation, they are prone more to have congenital heart diseases. So yun yung mga concerns sa isang patient na may genetic disorder, lalo na kung Down syndrome yung pag-uusapan.
Is Down syndrome transmitted from the mother or father?
Actually, there's no, during this mga pag-aaral or studies, you can have a Down syndrome patient pero normal yung both parents. It's just that yung mutation mo talaga somewhere along the way during, cell cycle, yung chromosome 21 mo, it's not, hindi siya nagpa-part ways or hindi siya natatanggal ng maayos. So eventually, naduduplicate siya, nagiging tatlo. So that's what happens.
Are there different levels of severity of Down syndrome? Are there any cures or treatment for it?
For the severity of the Down syndrome, it's more of yung concomitant kasi na intellectual disability because some of them nga they are born or they develop mental retardation. So it's more of yung severity of that So some patients, they have mild, mild mental retardation. They can somehow function pa as a good individual of the society. Some of them, they can work, no? Pero yung work nila is yung medyo akma lang kung ano yung kaya nilang gawin. And there are also patients na talagang, if kumbaga tatagalugin mo, they stay as a 2-year-old and yun na lang yung kaya nila. So, yun yung severity na tinatawag when it comes to Down syndrome. Are there any cure for it or treatment? Actually, none, no? Kasi it's more of your genetic makeup na. So from birth until tumanda ka, nandun na yung problem. You cannot anymore alter your genes as you grow older, but you can, what you can do, or what doctors do, is that we advise the parents of these kinds of patients na go into occupational therapy or physical therapy, para at least you can try to teach the patient with the Down syndrome to function na medyo maka-adapt siya or magkaroon siya ng higher functionality as an individual.
For the fifth questions, are there special programs for people that have Down syndrome?
I know there's one, yung Down Syndrome Association of the Philippines. It's like a nationwide association wherein parents or relatives of patients with Down syndrome, they group together, and then it's more of like a support group. Kasi 'di ba, mahirap kasi na magkaroon ng patient or ng relative na may sakit, and lalo na kung may genetic disorder like Down syndrome, kasi for the rest of this patient's life, no, or patient's lives, they have to be well taken care of. So this type of association, what they do is they're more of a support group para whenever they exchange ideas on how to handle situations and how to take care of these types of patients. That's I think, isa sa mga kilala na organization that helps relatives cope up in taking care of these kinds of patients. Other programs, usually occupational therapy, yun na din naman yung ginagawa, no? There are parang therapists who help these types of patients na ma-attain kung ano yung the best of what they can do in life.
So, according to Dawkins, in order to not have a child with Down syndrome, one should abort it, which it would be immoral to the child to bring them into the world. Do you think this is necessary? What are your opinions about it?
For me, no. Ever since I was little, I've been raised to respect life. My teachers taught me, no, na you have to value life. And no matter what life will, or what God will bring you, kung may defect man yung baby or not, or wala, a healthy baby or kung may sakit, it's still a life that you have to preserve. And it's also not acceptable in our society, and I hope it will stay the same, because there are patients naman, these are the type of patients that they're very sweet, they're very kind, they're very loving, they're very innocent. And for you to plan an abortion when you find out that you have a patient or you will have a baby with Down syndrome, I think it's unacceptable.
So, do you agree that it would help patients with genetic disorder to have their own specialized school?
Yes, I think meron yung mga special education schools, they cater to these kinds of patients. And at kumbaga, hindi nasa-stress masyado yung patient na, 'di ba, parang if tayo nga na normal individual, sometimes you get stressed whenever you lag behind. I think it's a best avenue to teach these kids how to adapt, because at the same time they will have the same set of friends na are also dealing the same kind of situation that they have, and they are more specialized and they are more attentive to the needs of these patients kasi.
What can you advise to parents with a child that has Down syndrome?
So ulitin.
Sige, ulitin mo na lang.
Okay. What can you advise to parents with a child that has Down syndrome?
They have to be patient, no? Kasi some Down syndrome patients, aside from the parang sort of mental retardation that they have, or yung intellectual disability that they have, some of them may some form of parang social, they can't adapt well to other people, and some of them parang um, you see them throwing tantrums, tapos hindi nila naiintindihan. I think you have to be more patient to these types of kids and of patients, kasi the level of maturity that we expect for them is actually hindi right for their age, because yun nga, because of the the condition nila. So relatives should be very patient lang in handling them, and at the same time you have to try to help them attain the best that they can be.
That's the last question. Thank you po.
Okay, panoorin nga